Hey everyone, what's up? It's Scott the Frozen Gamer, and you might be looking at me and thinking, why am I wearing this weird top? Well, I'm trying to be as balloon-like as possible, and I'm talking big balloon, because today we're going to be going over how to play and my review of Boom! Sandbag by Ted Alspach and Bezier Games. Now let's get down on the table to see how it plays. Welcome to Sandbag. This is what a setup looks like for a 5-player game. The game plays 3 to 6 players. So, there's a couple things we do before we even get to this here. And that is, first we're going to shuffle up the deck and deal it out evenly to all 5 players in this case. Then, from our hand, we're going to pass one card, if this is me, one card to my left, and one card from my hand to my right. And then I'll get a card from my player from my left and my player from my right in my hand. From there, once we all have our hands, we're going to put one card from our hand down as a sandbag. This is a card you usually don't want to have in your hand, usually a high numbered card because you want the lowest points in this game. So, high card here is usually what's played, and then we're all going to secretly play 2 cards here as our basket. Once everyone has done this and set up like this, then we flip over our basket, and from there we'll find out what trump is. So Sandbag is played over 3 rounds, and as I just said, the lowest score wins the game. So you do not want to win tricks in Sandbag. Since we all revealed our baskets now, we can find out what color is trump. And we do this by looking at what color hot air balloons have the most cards face up in as bags. So we have 1 blue balloon, 1 purple, 2 orange, we have 3 yellow, and 3 red balloons. We have a tie for the highest color. So what we do then is we see which color has the most total points in it. So yellow has 6 plus 4 plus 3, which is 13 points. But red has 6 plus 4 plus 3. That's 13 points. How do we figure out what's trump? Well, in this case, both red and yellow will be trump. And whenever someone plays a yellow card or a red card, whichever one is played first in the hand will be the trump suit for that hand. But right now, it's both red and yellow. To figure out who is first player for the round, we look at who has the highest number in that trump color. In this case, our first player here, will be the first player, is this player sitting right here, because they have a 6 of red and a 6 of yellow. These colors are both tied. They have the highest number in both, so they're first player. If it was split up where maybe that player had the 6 of red instead, like this, and I was the dealer, then this player would be the first player because they were closest to the dealer in a completely tied dual trump. But right now, this player is going to be leading off. So that player looks at their hand, and they realize, I got this 1 purple. It will leave me without any purples left in my hand. I'm going to go play that. And they want to play low because you don't want to win the trick. So this player with the 2 orange balloons in their basket looks at their hand, and they see that they have 1 purple in their hand. You have to follow suit just like a normal trick taker. So you have to follow the lead suit, which is purple. So they have to play a purple card this turn. Well, puts them in a bad situation because the highest purple is going to take it unless someone plays a card from the trump suit, which is either yellow or red in our situation here, which they don't think is going to happen this first turn of the game. So they're stuck with this purple 9, but they're not stuck because there's certain things you can swap in this game. You can swap cards from your hand for a card in someone else's face-up basket. If a card is face down in a basket, you can't do it. But right now, every card's face up, so they can swap for any card except their own cards from their basket. What they can do is they can take any card from their hand, like say maybe they don't want this yellow 10 here. So they can swap it for any lead color that's in a basket. In this case, we only have 1 lead color in the basket. So they could take their 10, boom, swap it, and play the 4 purple. But they're still a little worried about that they might still take the trick with the 4 purple, so they don't want to do that. If they didn't have a purple card in their hand, they could take a card and swap it for any card here. But they do have a purple card in their hand. But you can still, if you have 1 card of the lead suit in your hand, you can swap that as well. So I could take this 9, swap it for the 2, and then play the 2 blue. And now they know for sure they aren't taking this trick. We look at the next player. They've got this 0 purple. They'll say, yeah, I'll get rid of the 0 purple. This player looks at their hand and says, I might take this trick if I play a 2. It's the highest card that will be on the table right now, because this player may have something up their sleeve that may make me take this trick. So instead, to get out of this, they play this -7 rocket card. In a 3 or 4 player game, it would be a -5 rocket card. In 5 or 6 players, you're playing with the -7 rocket cards. And they're going to play it here. They know for sure they aren't going to win the trick by playing that rocket card because they have not played a lead suit or a trump suit. But instead, so I'm last this turn, and I've got a couple options here. I could play this -7. My other option is, since I only have one purple card in my hand, I could play this 3 and swap it for another color. I could swap it for one of those orange cards because I don't want to swap it for one of these cards unless I want to take the trick. Or I could just play my 3 and take the trick because I'll have the highest amount. Well, actually, I do want this trick because it's -7 here. So I will just play my 3. Then I will collect this because I won the trick with the highest card of the lead color. And I'll put all these cards face down in my scoring pile. And I'll put my rocket card face up in my scoring pile. At the end of the round, we're going to go through all of our cards. Any card that is face down in our basket will be worth a point. Any face down cards we've collected here, any cards we've collected from winning tricks, count as a point. Basically, any sandbag picture counts as a point. Any rocket counts as -7 points in a 5 or 6 player game. And then any card that's face up will count for the face value at the end of the round. So I haven't talked about these horizontal sandbag cards that we started out at the bottom of our basket here. These cards you can play either to lead a hand, or instead of playing a card from your hand, you can instead play this card in the middle if you're not the lead player. The reason you'd want to do that is if you have a really bad hand remaining and you're going to be stuck as the lead the rest of the game, you're going to want to play your lead card here so you can not be the lead anymore and keep collecting more and more tricks. So you'd want to play your sandbag there. That way, the next player has to play a face-up card if they can. They cannot play a sandbag after you played a sandbag unless that's the only card left they have to play. If you play it in the middle of your hand, there might be a bunch of cards down in the center already, and then you play that, you just know you're not winning the trick and someone else is going to get that sandbag point. It gets you out of a jam when you're in a jam. So let's continue playing this round. So this is my hand, and we're going to lead. Well, if we want to, we can lead the sandbag. We could lead the -7 rocket as well. The other thing we can do, if you lead, you can trade a card for a completely different other card to lead. So maybe I might want to just get rid of this 9 and trade it for this orange 3 to lead the hand. But instead, I've got this good blue 0 to lead, so I'll lead that. The next player looks at their hand. They have this 3 they can play, or they can swap it because it's the last blue in their hand. And they decide they're going to swap it. And they're going to swap it for this yellow 3 over here. And they play the yellow 3. Now there's only 2 yellow cards face up in baskets, and there's 3 red cards face up in the baskets. So before, when we started the game, yellow and red were both trump. Now we have mostly red cards in baskets. So now only red is trump. The trump can change in the middle of the game, and that's where the game gets super exciting. The next player looks at their hand, and they see that they have a 1 blue, so they're going to play 1 blue. This player looks at all their blues and like, oof, this is not good. And this is where they might go, I'm not going to play a card from my hand, but instead I'm going to play the sandbag card. So this player looks at their hand. They have to play a blue if they can, and they have a blue in their hand. It's their last one, though. So they're like, I don't want to play this 7. I don't want to win this trick. They're going to swap it with this orange 3. And they play the orange 3. So this player wins the trick and takes all these cards and puts them face down in their scoring pile. So we may go into the last round looking at something like this, where purple, yellow, and red all have 1 balloon, where it's all at 4, so they're all considered trump right now. And I just won the last trick, so I have to lead this trick. I have no cards left in my hand. I only have the sandbag card left that I never use, so I will use the sandbag card now to start this trick. I for sure won't win this trick. Now they have to play a card from their hand face up next, but they don't have any cards from their hand, so they are allowed to play the sandbag card. This player has to play a card from their hand, and they look at their hand, and they only have 1 card left, It's this purple one. They play it. Since it's the first card from one of the 3 trump suits played, purple is now trump for the turn. The next player plays their last card, which is a blue 3, and they play their last card, which is a blue 2, meaning this player takes the first trick that they have won this entire round of the game. Then we count scores. We'll do that real quick. First, we count all the cards that are sandbag side up, which is from our hand and on our basket. So we have 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 plus 4 is 22. 22 points, not good for me. This player has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's look at this player at the top of the table. So the player at the top of the table has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over there, plus 4 is 10. So they're at 10 points, but they got 3 -7 rockets. So -21 minus 10 would be -11 points for this round. So that player is doing outstanding. And then we would count up the last 2 players' points as well. So then we're going to start round 2 the same way as we started round 1. First, we're going to take all the cards, shuffle them out, and deal them out to all the players evenly. Then we're going to take 1 card from our hand, pass it to the left player, and 1 card from our hand and pass it to the player to our right. Then we're going to play cards down as our sandbag, and then we're going to play 2 cards face down as our basket, which we will all reveal once all of the players have turned them face down. Now you'll see here that I have 3 sandbags, this player has 2 sandbags, while everyone else has 1 sandbag. Why is that? Well, there's a catch-up mechanism in the game, and that's for people that had scored bad in previous rounds. They'll get a little bonus to help them get out of pickles in later rounds. So after you score a round, every 10 points in your total gets you an extra sandbag card. So this player had 14 points. So they get their starting sandbag card plus 1 for hitting that 10 mark. Now I had 23 points, so I start with 1 for getting to 10, and 1 for getting to 20. So I start with 3 sandbags to start the round. Then we'll look to see who the first player is. Right now, the trump suit is red because there's 4 red cards out there. This player has the highest red card, so they will start the second round. We will do this for 3 rounds. Whoever has the least amount of points is our winner of the game of. Now let's get back to the table and see what I thought of the game. Hey, welcome back. So what are my thoughts on Sandbag by Ted Alspach and Bezier Games? Well, I'm going to go over, I played this a while ago when I first got the game sent to me, and I played it at 3 players, which is the bottom of the player counts. And I do think the game plays a little bit more interestingly at a higher player count. I don't think it's bad at 3. Now, we didn't have the best experience. One player really was kind of flummoxed by these negative point cards. In our game, a 3-player game was -5 points, but I have the -7 cards here from the example. And they were wondering, like, why am I giving away points in this game? Why can't I ever keep the -7 cards, or -5 cards in their case, in my hand? And they just couldn't get that through and how to figure that all out. And it does take a while, because while this is a traditional trick-taking game, highest lead suit wins unless a trump is played, then the highest trump wins. It's very traditional in that sense, but these negative cards, you're trying not to win the trick. These negative cards come into play, and when do I play these? Do I put them starting up in my basket to start the game and hope that no one picks one and I get -7 points? Or do I just keep them in my hand to get me out of trouble, knowing that I have to give these other players -7 points? That's really interesting to me. I know that player had a hard time wrapping their head around like that concept. To me, that's a really, really interesting concept of the game. So the other interesting part of the game is trading cards for swapping cards, because I might swap a card and they might change the trump card in the middle of the hand. But then maybe I want to change the trump card in the middle of the hand, because maybe I have a trump is red and I have a ton of red cards in my hand. So if I can get rid of 1 red, maybe the trump changes to blue. And now I'm safe and not having a ton of trump cards in my hand, because again, I don't want to win tricks in this game. So that's like the coolest part of the game, is how the trump can switch multiple times, even in the same hand, not even just after that hand's done, but in the middle of the hand, it can be changing tricks. That is just super, super cool. I like the catch-up mechanism as well, where you get more cards in your sandbag hanging sandbags to start the game at the bottom of your basket if you're doing poorly. The other cool thing about these 7s is, let's say I had these 2 7s in my hand to start with, and we're going into the 3rd round of the game. I'm really competing with 2 of the other players in this 5-player game, and 2 of the other players are doing really poorly. Well, now I know that I want to play these -7 cards, not on where I think the players are going to get them that are competing with me, but I want to try to get these to be shot over to the players that aren't doing as well. But the problem is as soon as you play this out on the board, people are, instead of trying to lose the trick, now you're trying to win the trick, because you want this -7 point, because it will get you in a 5-player game -2 points net for that hand. So that is really interesting as well about these negative point cards. It's quick. The game is quick. If you don't like the game, it's going to go by quick. If you're out of the game, I guess that's one of the problems of the game, is that you can be out of the game. As I said, people are going to try to feed you these negative cards, which will let you come back, and you do have the catch-up mechanism of starting with extra sandbags. But if you're way out of the game, if you have like a horrible first hand, you might be battling, knowing that you're battling for maybe 3rd place, 4th place in the game, instead of battling for 1st place in the game. But as I was just saying, the game is very short. It's not a long game. It's 3 hands, traditional trick taking, so it doesn't take long at all. There's not a whole lot of thinking that needs to happen every time you play a card. So overall, it's not going to take you too long if you're way behind to go on to the second game of Sandbag. Bezier Game usually nails their rulebooks. I love their rulebooks. This one had a slight issue. I just had a little trouble wrapping my head around the swapping elements of the game. But what's really good is they have this reference card that goes over and it literally states the 4 ways to swap. So just get out of the rulebook, look at this card, and this will tell you exactly when you can swap in the game, and every player starts with one of these. It also goes over on the other side what color is trump, so in case that's hard for you to remember, right there on the card. These are perfect and just help out so much in the game. The card quality is great. They're all linen finished cards. They have a nice little sandbag image on the back. The hot air balloons are great looking as well. As you can see, what number card it is how many sandbags are coming off that card. So this 8 has 8 little sandbags hanging from the bottom of the hot air balloon. Whereas a card like this number 2 orange, 1 has only 2 sandbags coming off of it. And if you compare the two, because there's more sandbags on this 8 card hanging from it, it's lower to the ground. You can see it's near the canyons that are in the background. And this 2 is way high up in the sky. So just a nice little thematic touch to the game that I thought was really good. Also for color blindness, as you can see, the 8 has a different symbol underneath it than the 2 does for the orange suit. So the yellow suit has different than orange suit, that has different than red, that has different than blue. So that's really nice as well. Overall, this is an interesting trick-taking game. Again, it's very traditional in the sense of how the tricks work, but there's a lot of unique little twists on that traditional style of trick taking that make it interesting and fun to play. So, yeah, I do like this game. I just say give it like a practice game. Give it one practice game, because it might take your head that one game to wrap your head around it. Maybe it might only take you a round. Maybe it's just a practice round so you can kind of get the feel of the game of not winning the trick and dealing with those negative cards and dealing with swapping cards. Because those 3 elements can be a little tricky for people that play traditional trick takers, especially like hearts or something like that. So if you're coming in new to that, then you might just want to do those practice. If not, you'll probably pick this up fairly quickly. It's a fun game. Sandbag, Bezier Games, Ted Alspach, another quality game from this company. That's it. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Stay cool.